Tight end Darren Waller is out with a new music video, and it seems to reference his separation from his ex-wife.
Want a day in the life being me, everything that happens between you and your wife on TMZ.
Waller claims is a song he wrote from the viewpoint of a woman trying to love him.
At face value, it's very easy to look at this situation and think it's cringy and laugh at the situation. But if you understand the context of everything going on in Darren Waller's life, you might be a little bit concerned for his well-being. And I'm not trying to exaggerate here. A lot of this is my own theory, but given this man's history and what he's overcome and what he's currently going through, part of me is a little concerned about him. But we're gonna get through everything. Maybe you could tell me if I'm over exaggerating. Maybe if you think I'm being melodramatic. Before we get to the content, we are giving away copies of College Football 25. All you have to do to enter is follow me on Twitter and follow me on Instagram. Now that we get all that out of the way, work. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? Darren Waller's career in the NFL is something that you could literally make a movie out of. He was a 6th round pick in the 2015 NFL draft, but the background of his career is way crazier. When Darren Waller was 15 years old, he was abusing Oxy, and no, I'm not talking about OxyClean, I'm talking about the other Oxys. He also had an alcohol problem at the age of 16. His Oxy problem escalated to the point where he was eventually spending $100 per day trying to get his hands on the stuff. Later on in life, Darren Waller started messing around with a white powder that you may be familiar with from the movie Scarface. And things hit rock bottom for Darren Waller in August of 2017, where he OD'd on oxys while sitting in his car. Result of this, Darren Waller would then get suspended for 1 year without pay for violating the NFL's substance abuse policy. In any other situation, this would probably be the end of a career. I mean, this guy was a 6th round pick in the NFL draft. Here and there, sometimes 6th round picks turn out to be spectacular players in the NFL, but they don't have a lot of rope. You can't really get away with stuff like this. Darren Waller would get reinstated by the league in August of 2018, but he would get waived a month later by the Baltimore Ravens. He would then get signed to the Oakland Raiders off of the Ravens practice squad for 4 games, and the very next year, things would completely change for Darren Waller. Darren Waller's entire career was highlighted on Hard Knocks with the Las Vegas Raiders. Up until this point, he was a relative nobody that just overcame a gripping addiction. That in of itself was a remarkable story, but at that point on the football field, he didn't achieve very much. Sure, he appeared in 4 games in 2018. He had 6 receptions in those 4 games for 75 yards. But in 2019, in probably one of the most legendary displays of Hard Knocks we've ever seen in NFL history, this was the same Hard Knocks that featured Antonio Brown showing up to camp in a hot air balloon with frostbitten feet and acting out in Raiders training camp. But Darren Waller's story was highlighted on Hard Knocks, and he would follow up this story with a breakout season for the Raiders. I mean, it's very rare to see this occur. Typically, Hard Knocks does single out one player and try to get you to root for this guy. I mean, most recently, the best example I could think of was when the Lions did training camp and you got introduced to Malcolm Rodriguez. It's a really cool angle that Hard Knocks takes because it gives you an opportunity to root for an underdog, especially if that player makes it throughout the year in the NFL. But Darren Waller not only made it, he became a top 3 tight end in the NFL. In 2019, Darren Waller played in all 16 games for the Raiders. He had 90 receptions for 1,145 receiving yards and 3 touchdowns. The next year, when the Raiders moved to Las Vegas, Waller proved that this wasn't a fluke. He played in every single game once again, and this time had a career high 107 receptions for 1,196 receiving yards and 9 touchdowns. It was truly one of the greatest comeback stories we've ever seen in NFL history, and it was a consistent theme for the Las Vegas Raiders, especially considering how they also had Mad Max Crosby on the team, who also overcame addiction to be one of the best edge rushers in the NFL. Shout out to Mad Max, he follows us, by the way. Waller would get named to a Pro Bowl for the very first time in 2020 and clearly became firmly entrenched as one of the franchise cornerstones for the Las Vegas Raiders. In 2021, he started to bump into injury issues and he took a little bit of a step back, but he still played in 11 games. And 2021, as I'm sure you guys know, was a crazy season for the Raiders. It was the year John Gruden resigned, Damon Arnett did whatever this was.
5 minutes away. Pull up, lame ass nigga. Swear to God, I will kill nigga. On everything I love, I will kill nigga. You talking crazy.
And then, of course, the Henry Ruggs tragedy occurred that year as well. Rich Bisaccia took over in the middle of the season. Derek Carr and Rich Bisaccia were able to will the Las Vegas Raiders into the playoffs while also simultaneously embarrassing Brandon Staley and the Los Angeles Chargers for being the worst game managers in NFL history. And the very next year, the Las Vegas Raiders decided to reward Darren Waller with a 3-year, $51 million contract extension. So just to take a step back here, you have to really pay attention to every single aspect of Darren Waller's life. He went from a person that was struggling with substances to completely turning around his career. He was a 6th round pick that didn't make it with his first team, and now he got a 3-year, $51 million contract extension with the Las Vegas Raiders, becoming the highest paid tight end in the league. On top of this, at the same time, he started dating Las Vegas Aces point guard Kelsey Plum. So Darren Waller's life in every single aspect is going fantastic, but unfortunately, things would take a turn for the worst. Darren Waller's final season with the Raiders went anything but well, and it's not entirely his fault. Yeah, he was dealing with injury issues, but he also had Josh McDaniels as his head coach, and he was dismantling the roster. I mean, every single franchise cornerstone that the team had was being traded. It doesn't matter if you were Derek Carr and you led this team that was going through tragedy the year prior to the playoffs. The Raiders cut Derek Carr for absolutely nothing in return. They took on his cap hit despite just signing him to a contract extension. And the Raiders also traded Darren Waller to the New York Giants for a 2023 third round pick. And I'm assuming personally this really affected his relationship with Kelsey Plum because she was the Las Vegas Aces point guard and he was the Las Vegas Raiders tight end, and that's got a sting. He gets traded to the New York Giants, and at the time it was seen as this incredible opportunity for Darren Waller because you have to understand that the Giants in March of 2023 were coming off of a season where Daniel Jones just led the New York Giants to the playoffs and defeated the Minnesota Vikings in the playoffs. They won a playoff game. So the philosophy was, if we get Daniel Jones, a true number one target like Darren Waller, someone that he could depend upon, then maybe we'll start to see him cook a little bit more. Unfortunately, that isn't what would happen. The New York Giants had an absolute disaster of a season, and Daniel Jones wouldn't even make it throughout the season. Darren Waller was catching passes from the likes of Tyrod Taylor and Tommy DeVito, and even throughout that season, he played in 11 games, came down with 52 receptions, 552 receiving yards, and a touchdown, despite having questionable quarterback play. So you might be wondering, what's the purpose of this video right now? Well, currently Darren Waller is 31 years old, and I would say he's played significant amounts of football for about 5 seasons. He's played in about 86 games so far. He started in about 63 games so far. He definitely could continue going, assuming that his injuries didn't catch up with him too much. And bear in mind, Darren Waller was placed on injured reserve in November of 23, but he was reactivated in December of 2023. This is where things begin to get a little strange for Darren Waller. On April 23rd, 2024, Kelsey Plum and Darren Waller filed for divorce. They were married in March of 2023. They dated each other for a year prior to that. Kelsey Plum wrote on her social media that, "I'm devastated. I walked through fire for that man, but now I see it's time to go. God has given me such an incredible life, and I'm truly so grateful for the profound love for my family and friends. One day I'll share my story. Today is not that day." My immediate reaction to this news was, you don't really know what Darren Waller is going through. I mean, it sounds like he's been going through a lot recently. He's been dealing with injuries, dealing with a brand new environment, dealing with the fact that he has to do long distance with his WNBA star girlfriend, who, by the way, people started caring about the WNBA recently. No, seriously, we've been dropping videos on Flight Mike about it. So if you guys want to go check that out, I highly recommend it. The drama is awesome. And typically I wouldn't cover the fact that Darren Waller and Kelsey Plum got a divorce, but then Darren Waller would drop a song, and the song is very, very strange. So pretty much Darren Waller is walking through a field and is looking at his girlfriend. There's a trailer park for some reason involved in this. I don't know if he's insinuating that Kelsey Plum might have lived in a trailer park. Then he's on a beach. It's a very strange video, and it includes him getting stabbed, I believe, or at least insinuated that he was stabbed. It's a very interesting work of art that includes Darren Waller lying dead on the beach, kinda, but not really, because the water hits his face, and I guess he didn't want to do the full acting and have sandy water go into his eye, so he kind of blinks there. But I think he's supposed to insinuate at this part that he's dead, but you know, he didn't want to get sandy water in his eye, or maybe he's dead now. It's a very strange music video, man, featuring an auto-tuned Darren Waller. I mean, after watching this video, I really wanted to throw hands with T-Pain for inventing auto-tune. I mean, it just sounded very odd, but whatever. You know, I thought this was a one-off, and maybe he's going through some stuff and this is the way he's dealing with his pain. I may have personally decided to leave that one in the archives as opposed to releasing it to the public, or maybe just sending it to her personally if you wanted to do like your version of going outside of her home with a boombox playing some romantic song. But the crazy part is Kelsey Plum wouldn't really respond to this. But now the most bizarre part about it is people are speculating that Darren Waller might retire from the Giants next week when mandatory minicamps begin. And to that, he dropped another piece of content, and this time he's just hanging out in his backyard. His feet are fully out, ladies and gentlemen, just the puppies are out. He doesn't give a care in the world. And he had this to say in an auto-tune voice.
Want a day in the life being me, everything that happens between you and your wife on TMZ, trying to kick the dough in this rap just like a B&E, speaking to the blind, it's no wonder they weren't foreseeing me. For a minute I admit they was deceiving me, pleasing everybody, forgot I had to believe in me. It's all good when you got all them yards receiving, till them cards you're reading ain't that great. It's hard receiving the message from God that he's taking back what you've been blessed with. I'm foaming at the mouth, they know I ain't the one to mess with. Quit playing checkers on my board, I'm playing chess. And if I fall, my brothers pick me up like Byron Leftwich. Give me your best pitch. Hope you know that you signed your death wish. I'ma write that shit and leave them breathless. So tell your friend, grab your inhaler before the set list and take a, cause you ain't gonna forget this. Let's go. This road get violent, dog, it show made me tough. It's terrifying, but it never made me bluff.
And the comments to this are absolutely insane. Neighbor, are you coming back to the Giants, or should I just unfollow? A real friend would take his mic away. I don't blame Giants fans for wanting this dude off of their team. Dude, this was the harshest of all. Darren Waller featuring Kadarius Toney, washed up and chilling on injured reserve. If you want to retire, I would at least try to start up a podcast. I mean, moving from football to rap never works out.
Deal was running, walk out your bitch life. I walked out the field or something. Ain't why you made the go with top. What's your deal or something?
But jokes aside, I have my own theories. I mean, this is really giving Chandler Jones right now. And look, this is my own speculation, and I don't want to insinuate. I just want to say, could this potentially be the case that Darren Waller got injured and may have fallen off the wagon? You know, may have went back to the pain meds, and as a result, this is the way he's reacting. It's just my own theory. This is just a question. I'm just going to throw it out there because the man is going through a lot. I mean, he's going through a divorce. He had to move away from his girlfriend. Maybe that's what caused the divorce. And now he's trying to heal with his music, which people are roasting him for. And now he might step away from the game that he loves. I'm assuming he loves at a pretty young age. Personally, if I was him, I would just stick to football, primarily because I think he needs football more than anything right now. And I feel like if he goes away from football, he'll have nothing to do and he'll be bored, and things could potentially get worse and worse. And look, this is just my own speculation. I could be wrong. He could still be healthy and he could not be taking anything, but a lot of this behavior is very erratic in my opinion. And the way he's handling all this is just pretty odd. So let me know in the comment section down below. I just felt like this deserved a video. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike. I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.